Let's take a look at what we see when we're logged into our Notion account. So this is just like the default screen that you'll see. And you'll also see that Notion has already added a couple of pages for us, which we don't need. We'll actually delete them later. But if you want, you can actually explore those as well to kind of get started with Notion. Now, how does Notion actually work? Well, Notion has a really simple concept, but sometimes it's hard to wrap your head around how it works exactly. Basically, everything evolves around pages and blocks. And we can easily add a page from this sidebar over here. If you click on the Add a Page button, you'll see how this page appears right here. Now we can give this page a title. We'll say this is a page. And we can also add content to that page. So I could just add some text. This is some text. And I'll also add a bit more text because why not? This is not a feature of Notion. This is something I've set up to help me, show things quickly. But basically, this is Notion in its most basic form. We have a page, and then we have blocks of content on that page. So the page is basically the canvas for the content on the page, which in Notion is called a block or multiple blocks, because you can add as many blocks as you like. So you'll also see this little menu on the side, and this indicates that we have a block here. And so we can actually click on this to add a new block below our current block. And now you'll also see this little pop-up menu, which shows us all of the available blocks that we can add to the page. So why not just add a new heading 1? Say this is a heading. And we can add another block. To add another block, you can also just press enter and go to the next line. And there you can press the slash command. So just type in slash on your keyboard, and this will also open up this menu for us. Now, we might also want to include an image. So let's scroll down to the image and let's add that as well. I'm just going to choose a random image. I have this little puppy demo set up here. And so now we can actually display this image right inside of our Notion page. So you see, this is kind of like using Google Docs or Word. You have a document that you can add content to. But what makes Notion unique is that it's way more flexible than what you're used to from Microsoft Word and stuff like that. So for example, let me show you something. These blocks, they are actually really flexible. So you can just click on this little block and then drag it somewhere else. So I could just drag it above the text right here, and that's where it shows up. I could also say I want the image to be somewhere else, so I could drag that above the text as well. I might also say, well, I want the image to be a bit smaller, so I can drag it to the side like this, with this little handle at the side, left and right. I could also say I want the heading to be next to the image, so let's do that. I can drag it up here, and you see this little blue line appears. So this is where the text will be added. And now it appears next to each other. So we have multiple columns in here as well. We could add the text to this column as well, and so on. So you see how it's a really flexible structure that you can add stuff to, you can move things around. You can actually even duplicate stuff. So if I click on this little button and then click on duplicate, I'll just duplicate the block. Again, I'll be able to move that around. I can put it above the text. However I want to arrange my content. Basically everything is possible in Notion. And now comes the part that some people might find a bit hard to wrap their head around, but I promise you that it's not that hard to understand. So basically we have like this document here, right? And in Google Docs, you would have this document and it would just be like this one single document. It wouldn't have any connections to other documents in and of itself. So it's just like a standalone thing. But inside of Notion, you can actually have other pages inside of a page. So this is basically like a folder structure then. So this page is our top level page basically. And then we can go in here, or let's actually go, below this block over here. So below this text, and then type in slash and type in page. So you can actually also type in the name and then it will appear. And now if you click on that, you'll see that we actually get directed to a new page. And if you look at the top here, you see it's kind of nested inside of our previous page. So basically what we just did is we created a sub page. And that's what makes it so powerful. You can actually have pages inside of pages, and all of these pages can also have content on them. And that makes it much more flexible than the traditional structures that you're used to. So for example, in Google Drive or on your file system, you would have this kind of structure where you could have subfolders and subpages basically, but you can't have content inside of these subfolders directly. So that wouldn't work. And inside of like Word or Google Docs, you can have content on one document, but you can't have nested documents inside of a document, if you know what I'm saying. And that's what makes Notion really, really powerful. So let's just call this a subpage. And now we can go back to our main page. And you'll see this again down here that it now has this subpage in here. If I click on that, I get to our subpage again. Please don't worry if this might seem a bit confusing if you've heard it for the first time, but I promise you that it will get easier over time. And once you start using it more, you will actually get quite used to it and you will never be able to work the old way again because it's just so much better and so much more flexible than most of the other tools out there. In the next video, we'll take a look at some of the other blocks that we have available to us inside of Notion because we basically just looked at the very, very tip of the iceberg. There's so much more in Notion that you can use that makes it the powerful tool that it is.